If you need more referral sources for your private practice, but you are sick and tired of traditional networking strategies, not getting responses to your follow-ups, visits to clinics where you're largely ignored, this episode is for you. Because I'm going to give you a handful of powerful but little known strategies that you can implement both in your referral source creation as well as your follow-up that's going to produce more and more patients for your practice over time. Hi, my name is Jarod Carter. I am a physical therapist, a successful cash-based practice owner since 2010, and the creator of the Private Pay Profit Formula. I help my colleagues just like you to create your own cash-based out-of-network or concierge practice so you can end reliance on greedy insurance companies, provide a level of care you are ultimately proud of, and reclaim control over your profits and your future. If you're new here, I strongly suggest you subscribe to this channel because I put free trainings out like this very frequently, and they always have a free resource associated with them designed to help you get results faster. And the free resource for this episode is my lead tracking and referral source tracking spreadsheet. It will allow you to set up automated reminders at whatever intervals that you want with detailed notes about how to follow up after that last visit or that last checkpoint. It is gold when it comes to developing referral sources because the fortune is in the follow-up, and if you don't have something that's reminding you when and what to do, then it will fall through the cracks. So you can download that at drjarodcarter.com/episode 44. Okay, so as you'll see in a moment, we're going to cut to this week's training, and what it is that actually it's an extraction from my flagship course, Cash-Based Practice Freedom 2.0, and we've got a live training coming up, and you can sign up for it at privatepayprofits.com, where I'm going to walk you through not just what's included in the course, but actually extract a good number of strategies and tactics that you can take with you and immediately implement in your business. Again, check that out at privatepayprofits.com and grab a seat while they last. So in this intro, this is actually an extraction from our intro video in one of the marketing modules within that course on networking and professional referral source development. And as you'll see as an intro video, I kind of outline a lot of the things that the course does ultimately do a deep dive on. But in this training here that you're watching right now for free, probably on YouTube, what we're going to get into is one, how to create a list of groups, whether professional referral source groups or even patient groups, that are going to be highly likely to actually produce business for you and be a good use of your time. That's huge. So many people waste so much time networking in the wrong way, but also to the wrong groups and getting in front of the wrong people. So first, it's going to teach you how to create that list of groups and situations to target with your networking, with your professional referral source development. And it does not involve going to MD's office or a clinician's office and bringing them lunch. Next, you're going to hear some rarely used but very highly effective strategies to incorporate into all of your networking efforts to really set yourself apart, and then some really unique ways to follow up with them, so it's not constantly like, hey, can I grab you for lunch? Can we do happy hour? Can I get another 10th coffee with you? You want to get creative to be able to keep things fresh with your follow-up, but you've got to be able to follow up consistently over time to really make sure that as many of these contacts you make do become referral sources and business producers for your practice. So with all that said, we'll dig in now. Again, if you want to join me for even more of these strategies and tactics in my upcoming live webinar, you can check it out at privatepayprofits.com. Don't forget to get your resource for this episode at drjarodcarter.com/episode 44. Okay, here we are in our professional referral source development lesson, as well as networking. So we are going to be looking not only at how to use one-on-one networking, all these kinds of things to develop actual professional referral sources, but also using those types of things to develop patients themselves. First, we're going to look at who to target. It's just going to be a quick overview. And then we're going to get into some general concepts, but the really, really important things to keep in mind across the board in all of these different networking activities. Then we're going to dig into some more details on how to get your foot in the door with those that you're actually targeting. And part of that is going to be sponsorships and live in-person events. And so I'm going to do a little bit of a side deep dive on how you evaluate sponsorships as well as events to see if they're likely to be worth it. And then a number of ways to really, really maximize those efforts and capitalize on those opportunities. And finally, as they say, the fortune is in the follow-up. And so I'm going to have a good long series on all the different ways to follow up with all these efforts, the different connections you make, because quite often it's not going to be that you're all of a sudden getting referrals or new patients from your first event or your first coffee or whatever the case may be. So that follow-up is absolutely key. If you're going to use this approach at all, relationship building of any sort, any kind of in-person networking, don't even go there unless you are committing from the beginning to really following up with all of these contacts multiple times. And I'm going to show you how to get creative with it, and so it's not stale and you're not just asking the same people out for the same thing, for a cup of coffee or let's go get lunch or whatever. There's a lot of different ways you can go about it, and we're going to get into how you can do that creatively, keep it fresh, and really capitalize on the efforts that you do early on so that they pay off for years to come. Who to target. So we're just going to quickly run through this and then get into more detail about how to do so in a moment. But first and foremost, other professionals with your target market and ideal patient as their clientele. So for an outpatient orthopedic clinic like mine that focuses on hands-on manual therapy, highly active people, not necessarily affluent, but those that have not just the money, but the mindset of really taking good care of themselves. The places where I targeted in my early networking in my practice were people like personal trainers, especially high-level personal trainers, Pilates instructors, yoga instructors, golf pros, tennis pros, etc. So think about your niche, really think deeply about what your ideal patient is also involved in and kind of a complementary, whether it's wellness, fitness, performance, exercise related, any of that kind of stuff. It could be maybe nutrition, just really depends on your target market. So think about where are your patients going and spending money on other health, wellness, and fitness related activities, if that's anything to do with what you do as a healthcare professional, and then just make your list of those different professionals that they are working with and that you want to have on your networking list to target. Next on who to target are other business owners. In most of our cases, in most of our niches, other business owners can fall into that category of potential patients, but in most cases, they're also going to fall into, or I could say more often than not, they're going to fall into that category of being a potential referral source. They are going to these networking events just like you to try and develop referral relationships. So I would definitely take advantage of the situations where there's a bunch of other like-minded business owners there to do the same thing, is build relationships with people like you. So that's where things like Chamber of Commerce come in. BNI. I like BNI a lot because they have an accountability. They make sure you show up for a certain minimum number of events each year. They make sure that you have one-on-ones with people in your group. The group does not have a lot of competition. It's all collaborative. They're not going to have like multiple of the same field or same industry in the same group. So I really like BNI for that reason, and there is a cost to it, but it's usually less than 1 or 2 patients an entire year that you would have to get out of those relationships, which I think in most cases you will. So Chamber of Commerce, BNI, and other meetups or networking type groups, every city has a bunch of them. So you can go on meetup.com or just go on Facebook and look at the different groups that are available that are meeting regularly and have a really good high attendance rate. That's where you want to be. And then finally, potential patients. Think about the groups and gatherings that your patients might be involved in. One example, again, in my outpatient PT clinic, in the past, we were in the running niche. So we sponsored a running group and we were there for all their events. We were there on Saturday morning runs, doing free screens. And again, I'll get into the details of what to offer and how to get in front of them. But think about the things that your clientele, your ideal patient is involved in. Do they organize? Do they get together as groups? Is there some way that you can get in front of those groups and connect with them? CrossFit groups or different types of gyms, or maybe it's a certain hobby or activity where you could get a foot in the door. So think about that and add that to your list. Okay, and finally, the last part of this video I want to get into are some general concepts and strategies to utilize and keep in mind across the board, whether it's a one-on-one meeting with a potential referral source, or you're going to get in front of a group of business owners or potential patients, whatever the case may be. There's some things that you want to implement and keep in mind throughout this entire process. First and foremost, always consider what's in it for them. What can I bring of value to this gathering or to this meeting? Don't be going into thinking, I want patients, I want referral sources, I want referrals. Think of it as, how can I be of assistance? How can I bring value? Who do I know that this person would really benefit from an introduction to? Who else can I get involved in helping this group of people? Whatever the case may be, value first, what's in it for them? It'll come back to you, I promise, but go into these things thinking, how can I be of assistance and add value? On that same note, I always like to think about being a connector. I just mentioned thinking, who else do I know that this person would benefit from an intro to? Just take that out of your meetings and really brainstorm if it didn't come up in a conversation with somebody, and you can follow up and maybe you ask that person you're thinking of making an intro, hey, I met so-and-so, I think they could really benefit from your services, and vice versa, or you guys might make a good referral relationship. Would you mind if I make an intro? So just ask them if it's okay if you make an intro, then make the intro. And that person that you just met, that you then connected with someone else, I mean, talk about them being more likely to remember you and think of you, and be open to your future follow-ups, we're going to get into details of, when you ask them to go out for another coffee, or when you ask them to join you in some other event. One other key thing when you're going to events and you're meeting individuals is to try to not make it just 100% business. Like, learn about the person. Do they have family? What are their hobbies? What do they like to do for fun? I love to ask that question at networking events. So what do you do for fun? And not only does it bring a certain like nice personalization to the conversation, and they're going to remember you for that, but what happens is, if you really take the time, and usually you're trading business cards, or maybe now it's through your phone, but I will always hop into the bathroom if I've been there for a long time meeting a lot of people, and just add some quick notes to the back of the business card or in my phone about that person. Has a son who just started playing soccer, or loves to skydive, or whatever. And then you can use that, you put that in your follow-up spreadsheet, and you keep that with you, because you can use that for like personalized gifts, or sending an article that seemed relevant to something that they really like. Those kind of personal touches, like almost no one else is really doing that, and it can really set you apart. So get those personal details, make it fun, make it relaxed, make it not just about business, and then follow up with those things in creative ways and see how it works for you. And then, of course, speaking of follow-up, I'm not going to get deeply into it. I've already mentioned it once, and we're going to go in details now. But again, whenever you're going to do an event, or you're going to go have a meeting with somebody, make sure before you go, you've actually blocked the time on your calendar, even if it's just a 5-minute block the next day or that afternoon, that you are going to do that follow-up email, or you're going to send them that thing that you guys talked about, or that you're going to, if it's an event, that you're going to send out emails or text to everyone that you met. So make an appropriate block on your calendar before the event or before the meeting, because the fortune is in the follow-up. And then secondly, don't expect that in 1 or 2 visits, if you don't see an immediate patient out of it, that it's just a lost cause, right? You have to be in it to win it, and consider, like, I'm going to follow up at least 5 to 7 times with this person over the next year. Unless they say stop reaching out, or I just get totally ghosted, then everyone that does respond, that does continue to say yes to meetings, or whatever the case may be, like, just expect that you're going to follow up for the next year at least 5 to 7 times. Otherwise, don't even bother. Go to another part of the course and try another strategy. Because I'm telling you, when you do that, and when you do it creatively and skillfully with all these different personal touches, it works.